and I'm not a sweet person. Hang on. I said that wrong. I usually say I don't eat sweets because I'm sweet enough, but I guess I messed that one up for this time.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Why Bother, the podcast where we explore why creative people bother doing things the hard way. I'm your host, Gareth Davies from Maker House, with our guests, Paulette Casey and Viktoria.
You can do it.
Zenyovsky from Wise Owl Maclure. And we're excited to have you on today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to get to know all about Wise Owl Maclure. It is a nonprofit social service agency working with adults who have developmental disabilities and people on the autism spectrum. There's a lot to cover there. So we are going to get to that. But first, something fun.
Yeah.
We like to call this
Bother, not bother.
I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire things.
Okay.
You tell me if it's something that you like to do, bother, or don't like to do, not bother.
Perfect.
All right. Hockey, sports.
Bother.
Paulette is a bother.
No bother.
Victoria, no thanks.
No, not at all.
No hockey for you. Okay. What about painting?
Not bother.
Paulette is not bothered. Okay.
Bother, definitely. In particular, I redo furniture. I paint it with chalk paint and kind of give it a fresh look.
Cool. I love that. I love when you see something like on the curb in the garbage and then you see it refinished.
That's right.
Okay. Another one for bother, not bother. Pineapple on pizza. Paulette?
Not bother unless I can eat it separately.
Okay, you can pick it up.
Yes, please.
Bother, definitely.
Victoria's a bother. She'll eat that. Okay, perfect. And
Make
one
my
more.
salad.
Hunting.
Oh, I'm a bother with that.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, nature. All about nature.
Love
yes,
getting out.
With respectful of the ones that are non-bothered for it.
Of course. Not for everyone, but it's nice that you like to do that.
That's right.
Victoria?
Not at all. No bother at all.
Not your thing.
No
You're too busy
hunting.
dancing. Okay, sounds good. Thanks for playing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get into why you came here. We want to know about Wise Owl Maclure, and we work with Wise Owl at Maker House because we sell pottery from the Pottery Studio. But tell us more about the full scope of services.
So basically, Wise Owl Maclure, we have many different programs to support different needs of adults with disabilities. We have a particular, get the Learning Center, which is the individuals that comes in the morning and leaves at the end of the day. They have some work to do. And then it's for the individuals that cannot quite work independently in the community.
Okay.
So they have a place to call work. And they learn different things, skills that they of choice.
Yeah.
Then we have the Owl Employment Program, which me and Victoria are part of.
Okay.
And the Owl Employment Program, it's we're more in the community. So we basically find competitive work for individuals with disabilities, and then we help with the resume build-up. We help with interview prep. We help with job application, and then we do the initial training. Once the initial training is complete, the individuals and the management are comfortable and satisfied. We start fading away, but we continue with the ongoing communication.
Okay.
To make sure that there might be more new tasks to learn, or we might have to retrain. So then it takes away the pressure from the employer to take another staff from their floor or their department to reteach.
Okay.
We'll come in and do that. So that's the ongoing communication is very important.
Yeah,
for
employment
success.
services for adults with developmental disabilities or folks who are on the autism spectrum,
Yes.
super important. So thank you for choosing this field, and you've both been in this for some time as well.
Yes.
And you're making a huge difference for people, but also for employers to find good employees who just need a little bit more support.
A little bit of more of a boost, right?
And we also help with awareness a little bit for the employers. I think some might sometimes be a little hesitant about hiring someone on the spectrum, for example, but they just need a little bit more assistance and support. And that's where we come in. So, but we do work with a lot of great employers. A lot of our individuals are employed with Tim Hortons,
Home Hardware, Home Depot, Walmart, Costco. Like there's so many
Farm Boy
that we can
Distribution
Farm
Center.
Boy.
Oh, good. Farm
yeah.
Boy Local, Ottawa.
Yeah.
A retirement home, Maplewood
Yeah.
Retirement Home.
We also, other programs that we have, we get the Foundations program, which they are, they do also employment, but they do recreational as well. If someone wants to go back to school, they'll help with that. Volunteering and stuff.
Nice.
Then eventually we started a new initiative, which are the social enterprises.
Yeah.
And then we get the Owl Cafe, special fines with the fidget equipments or
Fidget toys, sensory toys for
sensory equipment.
Okay.
Then we got the Owl Pottery. And
and then the SIL program as well.
we get the supported independent program. They support the individuals at their home, and they help with budgeting. They help with appointments. They help with anything that has to do with life skills to live independently. The supported independent living supports.
It's just that. It's like people who don't want to live in a group home.
Mm-hmm.
They want to live independently.
That's right.
But they do need some support. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great to know about the full scope of the programs. And let's zero in a little bit more on the social enterprise, because it's kind of a part of your employment services.
Mm-hmm.
You have the external employers, like you said, but social enterprise for you, for Wise Owl Maclure, is also about creating jobs.
Absolutely.
For employment and skills training. So tell us how that evolved. When did Wise Owl decide to start a cafe that could employ some of your clients, and also the Pottery Studio?
I want to say maybe I want to say between 10 and 15 years ago, we started with the Owl Cafe. That's where it originated, with just selling coffee and muffins, and it was basic. We just had a little room. It wasn't very big, and we had an old cash register. It was just to teach the basic cash knowledge, customer service. What skills is there to work in a
Tim Hortons?
In a Tim Hortons,
Yeah.
like there's cleaning. There's not just, you don't just run the cash and give money. You don't just say hello. There's a lot of other things to do.
Yeah. So you've had people graduate from the Wise Owl into
the community.
a real cafe,
Absolutely,
another
yeah.
cafe.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a young man that went into Starbucks and ended up doing a course for a barista.
Nice.
So it was very, it's very rewarding to see the progress.
Must be. Yeah.
So from that little cafe that we started with just muffins and coffee, we got bigger and made it an actual Owl Cafe
where the individual
with services now. The full service cafe. Now we get soup, sandwiches, chilies,
sit down and eat
cookies.
there.
You can sit there.
And our individuals assist with the baking, with the making the fruit cups and
That's right. The bakery is another social enterprise that it's kind of in the back, but we can't forget about it because
how do you create things for the cafe?
Then once the cafe was established, we started with the Owl Basket. That was another one that I forget. It comes from so far away that we've done so much. We get the Owl Baskets that is seasonal now. We've got the special finds with the sensory equipment that we have, and then we started with the pottery, which it's the individuals in the learning center. They are hands-on. They are learning. They may not be able to do from step A to Z, but every individual has their strength. So we adapt the work in any special social enterprise that we have. We adapt to specific person that can do, because it's very rewarding to them.
Yeah, to do part of the process. Yeah,
it is their job.
They get to go home.
For the pottery, we also have the individuals' names who created the piece as well.
We have some samples.
There's labels on like some, like this one in particular. The name, I don't know if we'll show the name because I don't.
But it's all of the ornaments we get at the store as well.
Okay. They'll have the name of the person,
handwritten from the person who made it.
Who took part of it, right?
In Wise Owl Studio, right here in Ottawa. So it's quite phenomenal. We always talk about the story of the stuff at Maker House because everything is Canadian made or locally made, and there's a real person behind it. So that tag that you have on all of your pottery, or even sometimes engraved, probably in the bottom of a piece, that is the story of the piece. you're not getting this at HomeSense.
That's right.
You know?
Mass
It's not made
produced. It's
overseas
unique.
and shipped here on a boat. It's literally made across town, and someone is gaining employment. So powerful.
Absolutely.
So just for people who are listening, we do have some pieces in front of us, and those who are watching, we're just going to quickly run through what we're looking at here. From the raw ingredients, we have some raw clay here.
Yes.
I'm going to just kind of break it with my hand. So it's just like that classic dark brown or terracotta clay. And this gets turned into shapes, and then it gets fired in the kiln again.
That's where you put color, right?
After
You would
the
put
color
the paint,
and
Yeah.
the glaze
whatever
is applied. So for folks who are watching, you're going to kind of see steps in the process from the raw clay to the finished glazed shiny piece.
Exactly.
And we work with a few potters, so we've had the luck to tour.
Perfect.
And we've been I've been in your studio too.
Yeah.
And it is so cool to see the steps, and I imagine that is really suitable for, like you said, working with people who might be really good at one of those steps.
That's right. And there's sanding or we said engraved, or, you know, the cookie cutters to make some shapes, the painting. There's so many different steps that all individuals can have a
Do at
part.
least a part
Like
of it,
this
yeah.
particular mold, it's a liquid something.
Oh, cool. So it's like a liquid clay almost.
That's the one. That's the word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of put a blank here. And these two things goes together. They pour the liquid clay into
The experts
here.
already, Paulette. So we don't want to give
that's right.
that
Then
information.
no. And then it makes this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Then eventually it becomes, well, not quite
Shiny
the
and
shape, but
colorful.
it becomes a
It gets
shiny-
sanded down
That's
and then
right.
glazed
Yeah.
and fired.
They do all their fancy work, which
So cool.
hence why I'm not into the pottery.
Yeah, you're focused
Because I
on
know nothing
employment.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not bothered.
Not bothered.
Yeah, I should have asked pottery. Pottery's actually not bothered for both of
It's
you.
beautiful.
I enjoy the results.
That's right.
But I don't know.
Yeah. So why did you bother getting into this field? What drew you to social services, to working with people who are on the spectrum or who have developmental disabilities? It's really important and honorable work. It's not for everyone.
No.
So individually, what drew you to this field?
I honestly don't know what actually inspired me, but I know that I was definitely drawn to the field, to seniors in particular when I was a teenager. So I volunteered at seniors residence, and then that kind of continued to be an interest of mine. And then through university, I worked with a woman who was quadriplegic.
Okay.
I supported her on weekends, and then it was just a natural pull. And then I met a woman who wanted support for her son with autism, and we became friends. And then I was kind of discussing my future, so to speak, with her, and I wasn't sure where to go, but I was interested in the field. And she kind of introduced me to the DSW program. She told me about school boards. She gave me a lot of her contacts and families who have children with autism, and it kind of went from there. And
Wow.
because it was a natural interest for me, I just didn't know kind of where to go with direction and stuff. And then,
Yeah.
of course, that expanded into me working with adults with brain injuries, day program, school boards, and now as a job coach with Wise Owl.
Amazing. What a journey from seniors to brain injuries, people on the autism spectrum. And there's a common thread there of, I'm guessing it's sort of caregiving, right? So what is it that you take away from that?
Well, definitely working with seniors is very rewarding, right? They have a lot of wisdom and patience, and they're great. And I think every person you work with, you make an impact, and they make an impact on you too, right? So there's a lot of rewards when you see someone progressing from being shy and having no self-confidence to suddenly being social and approaching, whether it's employers or even in a social situation, having someone approach comfortably because you taught them.
Yeah.
So it's great. Or even someone who thought they could never work suddenly works, not, as a cleaner or whatever. They're actually doing, baking, for example, because they love baking. So it is rewarding.
So the reward is seeing the barriers get broken down.
The creativity.
And inspiring too. I think some people might not have the ability or even the confidence that they can do what they actually want to do,
Right.
instead of just having a job, right? So we do get creative when we do get inspired, when you see, like a glimmer of something special in that person, and they think they just want to do, let's say, carts. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with, doing grocery carts, but if you see kind of their special interest in there, you kind of want to encourage that and provoke it.
Right.
And then you push them that direction and they thrive.
Into something that's more creative, probably more fulfilling for them, where they can utilize their skills and
their actual interests.
grow their mind.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Great insights. And Paulette, for you, what drew you into this field?
Well, myself, it's more personal. It touches home, as I have my younger sibling was born with a developmental disability.
Okay.
Therefore, and my family were always foster parents. So we had a variety of different individuals, kids living with us.
Wow.
And there was always events for my sibling with special needs. And it was a family event. It wasn't just an event for my younger sister.
Course,
it was
great.
a family event.
Yeah.
And it just becomes natural. So then, when finishing high school, I wasn't sure. I wanted to go in trades or I could have picked any kind.
Yeah.
But something drew me to why not do something that I already enjoy and have fun, and it's natural, and I don't really have to work too hard about it.
Yeah, because you grew up.
I grew up with it, and I've met most of in the small community that I was born and raised, which in New Brunswick is, I knew all of the individuals that were in those events, and you have a bond with them, you have a rapport. So I went to college for my 2 years, and then from there just started with group homes, and I worked with young offenders as well to kind of see the difference. If it wasn't as natural for me with the young offenders, but it was still the same sort of, you teach.
Right.
And it's my way of teaching. I don't, I wouldn't be a good teacher in the school with the books and stuff, but I like to teach hands-on.
Experientially.
That's right. So yeah, that's kind of, and even today with what I do with the job coaching and whichever that I'm sent to, I feel it natural because I feel I don't have to, work hard at, because you just have compassion to the person that you
and it just
teach.
makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's you're just kind of putting yourself in their shoes as much as you can, because you don't live in the other person's shoes. They all have their different abilities. They all have their different,
Yeah, but you're thinking, what's their perspective on this job, this task?
How can I make it work for this person?
Right. What are the barriers, and how can I make them smaller?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it makes us be creative, and that's the challenge. It's the creativity.
Yeah.
I don't like arts per se, but that to me is my art. I'm not bothered by the paintings, but that is my art.
Yeah.
Is to work with the individual.
Mold individuals and contexts and situations
Absolutely.
for success.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Victoria.
No, I was just going to say, it's not only the individual. Also, we also support the employer. Right. And we have beautiful contacts with employers too, who do hire more than one individual over time.
So you're seeing progress in their character, their
and we build
practices.
trust with them, right? And they encourage our individuals, and some ask for more than just like bring them all.
Yeah.
Often we get the feedback of, this is amazing. They're our best employer we have.
The most committed,
committed, punctual, like wanting to learn
out of their job.
So
because they're probably so fulfilled in that role, there's value there as an employee, but probably also for the culture. I think it's really good when you have employees who want to be there, who are excited about the opportunity. It's good. Everybody feeds off of that.
Right.
Just the inclusivity culture, right now. So especially that. I mean, it's part of that.
Understanding the diversity of
the abilities and the skills.
Neurological diversity, I guess.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the term I was looking for. But the different walks of life where people are coming from and the different issues and barriers people might be dealing with, that's all good for a community, which is, a team at a company.
Exactly. And it also shows that there's more than one way to accomplish a specific role. There is expectation from the role that our person is, but the employers are starting to learn or are aware now that there's more than one successful way.
Right.
It's not just the This is the
Traditional,
position that you have. This is what you got to do. And this is the way you got to do it.
Right.
There's other ways around it.
That's very cool. I love that there's such a creative element to it. We are interviewing a lot of makers on this podcast, and that's who we work with in the store, including pottery makers,
Yeah,
of course, from
absolutely.
Wise Owl.
Yes.
But your creativity is in practice with people. And I just love that you're making a difference. You know, you're not making necessarily a product, you're making a difference in people, relationships, and employment. So super powerful work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Awesome.
We're going to take a quick break now. We'll be right back with our next segment. Folks watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Why Bother, the podcast where we explore why creative people bother doing things the hard way. I'm your host, Gareth from Maker House, with our guests, Paulette and Victoria from Owl Maclure. Let's get into this segment. We're going to kick things off with some food sampling. And they're the best guests ever because they brought us chocolate chip cookies from the Owl Cafe. So for people listening, we're going to describe this. For people watching, you get to see it. There's a little container of a dozen or so fresh baked chocolate chip cookies.
Yep.
So let's dig in. Tell people, you know, where were these made? What's the story behind them?
So, well, as we were talking earlier, the Owl Cafe, we have an Owl Bakery because we need to fill our cafe of goodies. So this particular baker, with some individuals that wants to learn parts of the baking, so they all kind of do it together, and then it makes this lovely, moist
chocolate chip.
It is moist. It's like that perfect blend of soft but firm. It's not like falling apart.
Crispy, and I'm not a sweet person. Hang on. I said that wrong. I usually say I don't eat sweets because I'm sweet enough, but I guess I messed that one up for this time. But anyways, the cookie's pretty good.
It's so good.
And they're available every day.
So they're
Peanut
fresh
butter,
baked?
ginger,
Oh
fresh
my
baked
God.
chocolate.
Fresh baked. We also have, other little snack that are not, they might be considered a bit more healthy.
Like fruit cups and stuff like that.
But there's
Cups,
nothing
veggie
wrong
cups.
with a healthy cookie.
Oh my gosh.
Cheesecakes,
Yeah, it goes
muffins.
so well with your coffee or tea. It's the right amount of chocolate chips. It's not too many. So if you're in the area or you want to look them up, check out Owl Cafe at Owl Maclure. And thank you for bringing us cookies.
You are welcome. Enjoy.
You will be invited back for another
We'll
segment.
bring brownies next time.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
brownies. Love it. Okay, so let's get back to the questions. I wanted to ask you a couple of tips you might have. There may be listeners or viewers who are looking at getting into this field. Maybe they already have started down a path of working in social services and helping folks who might be on the autism spectrum or dealing with developmental disabilities or brain injuries. What kind of tips would you each have for someone starting out in this field?
Well, I guess definitely know your interest, right? If it's genuinely an interest, because it doesn't necessarily, it's not always an easy job, I would say. It is definitely rewarding, like we spoke about, but it definitely is heartbreaking sometimes. It's not easy. So definitely know that you are truly, genuinely in it. And then, of course, there's the DSW program, which is the Developmental Services Worker program, PSW as well, working with seniors, personal support worker.
Right.
And then
These are
the
different
social,
kind of academic
yes.
training.
And more geared to specific. So as the DSW is more with the disabilities.
That'd be very
PSW
suitable
is-
for YSL services.
Yes.
PSW is the
more
more
for like senior homes.
Yes.
Okay.
and personal care. And then social work as well, right? So there's a variety of programs, of course, look into them because they do vary in length. Yeah.
And what's a good way to gauge your interest for someone who they don't want to take the program and then find out they're not interested?
Well, what I would recommend, or a tip that I've done growing up, as we spoke earlier, is, you can look at to Special Olympics and see if they need volunteers. You can either volunteer at a retirement home to see if the caring part or the work that is involved in all these areas. School, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you may be able to, volunteer in some schools to see if
It's like a support.
as a support and
Right.
see if it's something like maybe shadow someone, even if it's half of a day or whatnot. I'm not 100% sure. There's probably legality in those kind of stuff, but I'm sure if you have a contact person, there is many ways of finding out if it is right for you.
Because some people can't be bothered with kids at all, right? Some love working with seniors, but nothing else, right? So it's also the population, right, that you're working with. Adults,
have you ever
kids.
seen someone kind of come in with an assumption that like, oh, I don't want to work with kids, but then they end up trying it and they like it?
Absolutely.
Definitely, I've seen that in placement. So placement, when you go to a school and you do get placement, you kind of think you want one, and then you get exposed to it, and you're like, it kind of happened to me. And
It's going to be different than the idea in your head, right?
And they're just inspired by something else because they just didn't even know that that's what the environment would be. So yeah, definitely volunteering, exploring, placement, any kind of interest, research, and connect to agencies, even for...
And be open to changes that like a variety of personalities, because your personality can be specific, but if you can be open to connecting with another person's, adapting to the other person's personality, because as a worker, you have to be able to blend and not having the person you're supporting adapt to your personality. It should be the other way around.
So you come down to their energy or up to their energy.
That's right.
So that's kind of a prerequisite is you should be somewhat adaptable.
and genuinely interested in wanting to care and provide.
So not everybody is adaptable and not everybody has a high stress tolerance. Do you think you need a high stress tolerance to work in this field?
You need a lot of patience, but I mean, again, depending on the area that you decide to specialize in. Some areas will be, you won't have to have as much patience. Patience you need it in everything you do, right? Yeah.
I think tolerance, acceptance, definitely the respect, the dignity, right? Is there. But I think, it's different in every, I guess, field. With seniors, it's different. The dementia, for example, is there, or the physical disabilities, or the nonverbal, right? Like there's challenges within every population you work with.
Yeah.
So
I would also recommend too, if you decide to go into the schooling in the field. I know my schooling was way back in the days, in the
No
the
way, you just graduated, didn't you? You're fresh out of school.
What's in the books? It's a base, right? When you're in the real field, you might have to. You don't have to be. It doesn't have to be followed by the script. You have to be able to adapt to, okay, this is what I've learned in the school, but I might have to be tweaking this a little bit to make it work in the real life.
To get to the outcome you want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Because you can't write about a person 100% right.
In a book.
A scenario cannot be put in exactly, because that scenario will change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or this afternoon.
It's case by case. And that's a good segue to my next question, which is all about connection. I like to call this
The point of connection.
So human connection is a big part of what you do.
Yes.
And it's a big part of all of our lives. We all have families and friends. How does human connection factor into your work and your life?
It's quite interesting because even me in my day-to-day life, outside of work, I can be, say going to do my groceries, and just out of the blue, for no reason, people will approach me and, ask me just a question out of the blue. And then it all of a sudden relates to what we do for work.
They recognize you?
For whatever reason, it's there's a pull.
Interesting.
And then you start talking, and then they give you their story, and then you're like, all of a sudden they have a connection and they need the support, or someone they know needs the support.
Wow.
And it's, it's like a circle.
And they almost just get a sense from your energy that
it's
happened multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. And even like not recently, I was just, having dinner with friends, and the person sitting, which I didn't see, got up to leave and gave me the high five. And I high five back because I like high fives.
It's
but
bad luck to turn down the high five.
So there's that connection, and that person obviously saw me coming in, and the person with special needs, and it's kind of
And they're
different.
like, that's my person.
Yeah.
She gets me. I get her.
It's something. But I find it pretty fascinating how the world goes.
That is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's, I think we all carry energy with us.
Yeah.
And I love hearing those stories when people connect. Have you had this happen to you, Victoria?
No.
Okay.
But I've observed Paulette be approached.
She's giving off those helpful vibes.
sure.
Yeah. Amazing.
For sure.
Love it. So we're going to wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to tell people about where they can find you, how they can support your work at Owl Maclure.
So we do have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. It is the Wise Owl Cafe and Meeting Place on Instagram and Facebook. And
it's Wise, like the letter Y ''S. So
Correct.
For people who are listening or watching, don't look up WISE, look up Y''S.
That's right.
And that's actually because it started under the YMCA way
back in the days before my arrival, 20 some years ago. From what I understood, if I'm not incorrect, YMCA, and then there was Maclure, and then eventually they merged together, and it made it the Owl Maclure Cooperative Center.
So that's where the name.
So that's where the Wise.
So we have a website, wiseowlmaclure.org.
Yeah, go under programs, and you'll see the cafe, the pottery studio, the employment program,
The
supported independent living.
Yes.
I'm still just scratching the surface because it's so robust and powerful, the work that you're doing. So thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast out of your busy schedule. We're just honored to work with Wise Owl Pottery. And now we're connected
to cookies.
to cookies and to you, Paulette Viktoria. It was an honor. Thank you for joining us.
It was a pleasure being here. We appreciate the invite.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening to Why Bother? And we look forward to seeing you next time.